right, let's dive in. Today we're tackling a topic that never seems to get old, the Illuminati.
Right.
And you, our amazing listeners, have sent in some truly fascinating research and articles. So we're really going to get into it today.
Buckle up.
We're separating fact from fiction about this group that still has people talking centuries later. It's crazy how a group that was only around for less than a decade.
Yeah, it was a blink and you miss it kind of thing.
Right. Managed to become such a global phenomenon.
It's a testament to the power of narratives, especially when they tap into those deep-seated fears and desires, you know?
Totally. So before we get to all the juicy conspiracy theories, let's start with the basics. What was the real Illuminati? Like, what were they all about?
Well, the Order of the Illuminati was founded in Bavaria back in 1776 by a professor named Adam Weishaupt.
Okay, Professor Weishaupt, 1776. Got it.
Now, this was right smack dab in the middle of the Enlightenment, a period of immense intellectual and social upheaval. Think of Voltaire, Rousseau, all those guys challenging the powers that be.
Right, those big thinkers.
And Weishaupt was right there in the thick of it, championing reason and secularism, his goal, to create a group that actively opposed control by the church and the state.
So they weren't just like an Enlightenment book club. They had a real agenda.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They were seriously critical of the influence of both the church and the monarchy.
Interesting.
Weishaupt truly believed that these institutions were holding back progress and enlightenment. In fact, one of the Illuminati's central tenets was to, and I quote, liberate humans from all forms of tyranny.
Wow, that's pretty radical for the 1700s. Sounds like they were playing with fire.
You could say that, and to make things even more interesting, they modeled themselves after the Freemasons.
Oh, really?
Yep. Hierarchical structure, secret rituals, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, secret societies, radical ideas.
It all adds up, doesn't it?
Sounds like a recipe for disaster.
And it was. In 1784, the Bavarian government got spooked. They were worried about the Illuminati's growing influence and potential to, stir things up. So they cracked down hard on all secret societies. And just like that, the Illuminati was officially disbanded. Poof! Gone.
But how does a group that existed for less than a decade become synonymous with worldwide conspiracies? That seems like a huge leap.
That's where things get really juicy. Almost as soon as they were disbanded, the conspiracy theories started popping up.
No way.
Oh, yeah. And there's this book, published in 1798. It was called Proofs of a Conspiracy, written by John Robison. This book was a game changer.
What did it say?
Well, Robison linked the Illuminati directly to the French Revolution. He claimed they were the puppet masters behind it all.
Wow.
And bam, just like that, the narrative of a secret society pulling the strings on world events was born.
One book really had that much impact.
It planted the seed, that's for sure. And then came the New World Order conspiracy theory, which, proposes this all-powerful elite working to establish a one-world government.
Right, the New World Order.
And guess who became a central figure in that narrative? The Illuminati, of course. The ultimate boogeyman.
The puppet masters behind the curtain. Okay, so now we've got the foundation of the myth. But what about all the symbols and signs that people link to the Illuminati, like the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill? What's that all about?
Yes. The symbols. So many people see them as like irrefutable proof, like smoking gun evidence of the Illuminati's influence. But here's the catch. Many of those symbols, like the all-seeing eye or the pyramid, they're actually Masonic symbols, not originally associated with the Illuminati at all.
Oh, interesting.
But over time, conspiracy theorists have sort of, adopted them to prove that the Illuminati is still out there, operating in the shadows.
So they're kind of picking and choosing symbols to fit their narrative.
Exactly. And it's everywhere. It's in books, music, movies. How did the Illuminati become this, pop culture phenomenon? Well, pop culture plays a huge role in keeping the myth alive and kicking.
I can see that.
You've got Dan Brown's novels, hip-hop lyrics, name-dropping the Illuminati. It all adds to the intrigue, right? It gives it this modern, edgy feel.
It's true. The Illuminatis are everywhere in pop culture. Yeah. And then you've got celebrities, right? Actors, musicians getting accused of being Illuminati members.
Right.
What do you think it is about that celebrity connection that really captivates people?
Well, I think it taps into that desire we all have to peek behind the curtain, to understand the so-called hidden world of the elite. Plus, there's the whole allure of power and secrecy, right?
It's like a super exclusive club that everyone wants to be a part of, even if it means they're, secretly evil.
Yeah.
But are people really taking this seriously anymore? Or is it all just a meme at this point?
That's a great question. It really highlights how blurry the lines between belief and entertainment can get.
Totally.
Most historians agree that the original Illuminati is long gone. But, there are absolutely people who genuinely believe in a modern version of the group, a group that's actively plotting and scheming.
So it's like, on one hand, you have people laughing it off as a joke,
Mm-hmm.
and on the other, you've got people who are convinced that the Illuminati are behind every major world event.
Exactly. And that range of belief is really fascinating, isn't it?
It is. It makes you wonder why this myth has persisted for so long. I
Yeah.
mean, there has to be a deeper reason why people are drawn to this, right? It can't just be about blaming a secret group for everything wrong in the world.
I think you're right. It goes much deeper than that. It taps into some fundamental human anxieties. The fear of the unknown, the desire for control, that longing for simple explanations in a world that feels increasingly complex and chaotic.
Right.
The Illuminati myth, even if it's not true, it offers a sense of order, even if it's a kind of, frightening order.
It's like, if we can figure out who they are and what they're doing, maybe we can get a handle on things. It's a comforting thought, in a way.
Exactly. Plus, don't forget our fascination with the hidden, the powerful, the idea of this secret group pulling the strings from the shadows. It's unsettling, but it's also thrilling.
It's true. We all love a good mystery, even if the answer might be scarier than not knowing at all. So we've got this historical group that's basically become a mythical boogeyman. But what about all the evidence that people use to support these claims? The symbols, the leaked documents, the supposed coincidences. How do we even begin to make sense of all that?
Well, that's where critical thinking is key. We got to learn to separate fact from fiction, especially with these really sensationalized topics. Let's take the symbols, for instance.
Okay, the symbol.
Like we were just talking about, they're often totally taken out of context, like the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill.
Right, do example.
That's actually meant to symbolize the watchful eye of providence, a concept going back centuries with religious ties, really, not necessarily an Illuminati thing.
So it's not as straightforward as it seems. One symbol, but with multiple meanings and interpretations, doesn't automatically point to a secret society.
Exactly. And that goes for other evidence, too, like those leaked documents people love to talk about.
Oh yeah, those...
A lot of them are either obvious fakes or they've been, misinterpreted, stripped of their historical context.
So it's not enough to just take things at face value, right?
Yeah.
We've got to look at the source, the context, consider other explanations.
100%. And then you've got the coincidences. Conspiracy theorists love pointing out these supposed connections between powerful people, big events, as if it's proof of some master plan.
Right.
But come on, correlation doesn't equal causation. Just because two things happen around the same time or involve the same folks doesn't mean they're secretly linked.
It's like that saying, if you're holding a hammer, everything looks like a nail. If you're looking for evidence of the Illuminati, you're going to see it everywhere.
You got it. That's why it's so crucial to be aware of our own biases, approach these theories with a healthy dose of skepticism, but, at the same time, we got to understand why these ideas are so appealing to people in the first place.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's got to be a reason this myth has stuck around for centuries. More than just, wanting to blame a secret group for all the bad stuff.
It goes way deeper than that. I think it taps into some pretty basic human anxieties. The fear of the unknown, the desire for control, that need, that longing for simple answers, simple explanations in a world that just gets more and more complex. The Illuminati myth, even if it's not real, it kind of offers that, a sense of order.
Yeah.
Even if it's a little bit of a scary kind of order.
Right, like if we can just figure out who they are and what they're up to, maybe we can get a handle on things.
Right. Makes you feel a little bit more in control. Plus, there's that fascination with the hidden, the powerful.
Oh, for sure.
The idea that there's this secret group pulling the strings from the shadows, it's unsettling, but also kind of exciting.
It's true. We all love a good mystery, even if the answer is way more disturbing than just not knowing.
It's like, do you really want to open that box?
Exactly. So we've got this historical group that become this mythical boogeyman, but then you've got celebrities and even politicians, right, referencing the Illuminati.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Why do you think that is?
I think it speaks to how powerful myths can be. Myths, they aren't necessarily true, not in a literal sense anyway, but they reveal deeper truths about human nature. Our fears, our desire for meaning. The Illuminati myth, it resonates with these universal themes in a way that's both familiar and dangerous at the same time.
It's like a modern-day cautionary tale, warning us about the dangers of too much power, the lure of secrecy.
Exactly, and that's why it's important to talk about this stuff, to examine these beliefs with a critical eye, separate the historical facts from the fictional narratives, not to dismiss anyone's worries or anxieties, but to really understand where they're coming from and maybe offer some different explanations, some that are, a little more grounded in reality.
Because believing in this, like, shadowy cabal controlling the world, that doesn't really empower us, does it? It just kind of keeps us stuck in this cycle of fear and distrust. But what about real secret societies that exist today? Groups like Skull and Bones, the Bohemian Club, those sorts of things.
Ooh, good one.
They meet in secret. They've got their weird rituals. They're packed with powerful people. Are these the modern-day Illuminati?
That's the million-dollar question. And while these groups do exist, and yeah, they definitely have influence, there's really no solid evidence to say they came directly from the Bavarian Illuminati, or that they're part of some global scheme to rule the world.
So they're operating in the shadows. We don't know what they're up to, but they might not be evil masterminds.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible.
That's still kind of creepy, though.
Oh, totally. It raises some serious questions about transparency, accountability. Just because we don't have proof of some sinister plot doesn't mean we shouldn't be a little concerned.
Right, about concentrated power, too much influence. Exactly. Secrecy just breeds suspicion. Easy to let our imaginations run wild when we're not seeing the full picture. It seems the more we learn about the Illuminati, the more questions we end up with.
It's like peeling an onion. There's always another layer, another theory, another symbol to figure out, another connection maybe. Never ends.
So where do we go from here? If we can't say for sure whether or not there's a modern Illuminati, how do we even approach this topic responsibly? Make sure we're being informative, but also, like, realistic.
Wow, it feels like we've gone deep down the rabbit hole with this deep dive. We've talked about the historical Illuminati, debunked some myths, even got into the whole psychology of conspiracy theories. It's amazing how this topic kind of brings together history, symbols, pop culture, all of it.
It really does. Shows how powerful ideas can be, how they evolve, Even if they start in a very specific time and place, they can take on a life of their own. We began by looking at the actual real Illuminati, right? This group of Enlightenment thinkers. And they were fighting against oppression, against control. Kind of ironic that they've become this symbol of shadowy power,
Yeah.
the very thing they were trying to fight against.
Right. It's almost like the fear of a controlling force. The thing the original Illuminati wanted to get rid of has somehow been, projected onto them. Strange how that happened.
Totally. And we talked about how symbols and signs can be, totally twisted, misinterpreted to fit these theories. That all-seeing eye on the dollar bill, great example. Not an Illuminati symbol at all, but a lot of people think it is.
Yeah, symbols are tricky, powerful, but tricky, because they can have so many different meanings. Depends on the context, the person looking at it. Conspiracy theorists, they're good at using that ambiguity, twisting things to support their ideas.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And we can't forget about pop culture. Books, movies, music, they all help keep the Illuminati myth alive, relevant, especially for younger generations.
Pop culture is huge, right? It can really shape how we see the world. Introduces us to new ideas, even if they're totally made up or exaggerated. The Illuminati are all over thrillers, action movies, even in hip-hop lyrics these days.
So we've got this crazy mix of history, symbolism, entertainment, all wrapped up into one of the most long-lasting conspiracy theories ever. If there's one thing I've learned from this deep dive, it's got to be the importance of critical thinking.
Absolutely. In today's world with information overload, everywhere you look, it's more important than ever to be able to, evaluate sources, see things from different perspectives, and question your assumptions.
We've got to be able to separate fact from fiction, especially with topics like this.
Yeah.
So much mystery, so much intrigue.
It's about being curious, but also skeptical, asking questions, digging a little deeper, not just taking things at face value.
Because the truth, like they say, it's often stranger than fiction, but sometimes the truth is a lot less scary than we might think.
That's a good point. We need to approach the world with a little bit of doubt, sure, but also with a sense of wonder, what if?
Exactly. Be critical of information, but not, dismissive of people's beliefs, even if we don't agree with them.
At the end of the day, it's about open, honest conversation, even if the topic is kind of controversial or makes us a little uncomfortable.
And who knows, right? Maybe by exploring these mysteries, we end up learning something new about ourselves or the world around us.
Exactly. That's what makes it fun. The journey is just as important as, whatever answers we might find. So keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and don't be afraid to keep an open mind.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive into the Illuminati. We hope you enjoyed coming along with us on this journey. Until next time.